Hey fellow Sea-Doers, I'm making this video. This is a first of a two-part video series that I want to put together specifically to answer the question on, well, exactly what this thread is on, which line to pinch when towing. So whether you get stuck on the water or you want to be towing your personal watercraft or boat or Sea-Doo boat, either way you've got to understand which line you've got to pinch off or put an inline valve on. I think it's really important to understand the theory and the mechanics around what line and why before you just go start cutting lines and putting valves on or pinching a line and hoping that you've got the right one. So this first video that I'm going to make is just going to look at kind of the schematics and why you're pinching a certain line. Very specifically, I'm going to address the 2009 Sea-Doo Challenger 180 SE, the 255 horsepower supercharged model, but this is really applicable across all the personal watercraft and Fortec motors. So let's have a quick look here. This is a really good thread online in Sea-Doo forum. And there's one gentleman on here who wrote a couple really good paragraphs that really explain this clearly. Sportster 2001, good work. So the goal is to keep the exhaust system from filling with water and backflooding into the engine. If this happens, the engine can fill with water and hydrolock while you're being towed. Absolutely correct. So you've ultimately got two lines that you can be pinching or putting an inline valve or two hoses to stop the water from entering and filling the exhaust system. So here are your two options. Option number one, the cooling water line from the jet pump that's heading to the inlet side of the exhaust manifold. So on the front end of the exhaust manifold. And then at the back of that exhaust manifold, you've got two outlets or two rear nipples, an upper and a lower one. Your second option for what line you can pinch is the upper nipple here. So that flows from the back of the exhaust manifold back towards the actual the muffler itself. So the Sportster 2001 put a little bit of an image link in here. It's not a great quality image, but it's 100% spot on. So this is the back of the boat here. This is the transom. That's your jet pump assembly, and you can see that outlet line from the jet pump. So that's heading inbound towards the exhaust manifold. So that's the inlet of the exhaust manifold at the front. This line here, anywhere along that line, you can see identified pinch here. You'd want to put the actual crimp pliers, whatever it is, or an inline valve right here. Or your option number two, here's that upper nipple, and that's heading back in towards the exhaust. If you're going to pinch on that line, then you'd want to pinch right here, and both of those will have the same effect. So if we're looking quickly at schematics, so let's say sport boat, and in this case 2009 Challenger, and then let's look at an NA version of it. So if we look at the cooling system, and we take a quick zoom in here, here's pretty much the exact same thing. So we've got the jet pump assembly, the outlet from the jet pump assembly. In this case, that's hose number 10 here, 19 mil or 3/4 inch hose. I like this schematic because the exhaust manifold is separated, so you can see the inlet at the front of the exhaust manifold right here, and then the outlet, that's that second line, in this case line number 1. So you could go ahead and you could pinch on line number 10, anywhere in line on number 10, or put the valve there, or on line number 1. Either of those two would mechanically serve the same purpose, which is to keep the exhaust from being flooded while you're being towed. Now if we're looking at the supercharged intercooled model, which is what I have, and I'm going to be doing the valve install on, effectively nothing really changes except for that you've got a little extra plumbing around the intercooler. So if we're looking at this schematic, exact same principle here. So you've got the jet pump, you've got the outlet, that's going into hose number 11, and then into hose number 10, and that hose number 10 is going up to the exhaust manifold. And you'll notice that in here, it's teeing off for line number 35, which is running to the intercooler. So if you were going to be installing the valve in line here, instead of throwing it in line on number 10, you'd want to put it in before that and put it in line on somewhere on number 31. And actually, there's a really clean, easy spot to put it right towards the front of that line. And then again, the exact same thing applies here, which is that if you wanted to tee it off further in the line or put crimp further in the line, you could do the exact same thing. and put it from the outlet side of the manifold on hose number 1 right about here, and that would serve the exact same purpose. So ultimately, it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty similar across all the models. I hope that adds a little bit of clarity. And then the second video that I'm going to do is an actual install on my new to me 2009 Challenger SE 255. Thanks a lot, guys.